I had two leaks in my ceilings of my house, one on the bathroom ceiling, one on the living room ceiling. Actually, the living room occurred when Mom was still living here, and I couldn't figure out where it was coming from, and finally I found what it was. It was this pipe right here, and the boot did not have a hose clamp on it when they did the roof. And when you get 30-40 mile-an-hour winds, it forced the water right down here on the outside of the pipe down through there, and I actually collected a half a paint bucket of water one rain. So it's quite a bit that came through there. And so I came up, I cut a tractor inner tube and put it around here with a stainless steel hose clamp, and I secured this to where it can't leak there anymore. Now my son put a new roof on his house down the road, and roofers, I said, "You gonna put a hose clamp around that boot that you're putting on?" They said, "No, that'll never leak." And I said, "Well, you can either take 20 seconds to put a hose clamp around there," I went out and bought one and had it there, "or you can come down to my house and I'll show you where it did leak." And he says, "No, I'll just go ahead and put that hose clamp around there." These boots, most of them are made for a hose clamp around there. Your better installers will put it on. Now you'll see here, New Knoxville Supply put this boot on. They put a hose clamp on here, around here, and I didn't even have to tell them. So it depends what kind of contractor you got as to how good a job he does, and how inexperienced they are. But you want a hose clamp around here, and tighten that up so it don't leak between the boot and this pipe and come down on the inside into your ceilings. It took me about 5 hours to re-spackle that ceiling and get it back. I'll show you when we get downstairs where it was, and it was quite a spot before we got hold of it, about 3 feet long. I also went ahead and put extra roof patch around here again, because of the type of worker I knew I had here. Now here, I think probably New Knoxville Supply is good enough. They've got that seated good, and I don't expect a leak there. But I put cement around all my air vents here, and made sure they were correct. This vent pipe here didn't have a hose clamp on it. It didn't leak, but if one did, I know another one well, so I went ahead and cut the inner tube off the tractor tire, put the nice tight hose clamp around there, and repatched the cement around there because I'm not quite sure of their work. And I think I've got everything cured there on the pipes now. I don't expect another leak there again. I did again some work around here with patch on the air vent. Here is a skylight. This is actually the second skylight since this house has been built. The first one evidently leaked too, and Mom had it replaced. Well, this one, it leaked about, it was last summer, and came down right through here over my batting that I got insulated around the skylight form there, and down onto my bathroom ceiling. I left that spot there so we could film where it was and give you a, I don't know if you call it testimonial, but show you exactly how these skylights are. And they may be tested with a sprinkler system poured on them for 15-20 hours and they don't leak, but I'm afraid they don't test it with 30 and 40 mile-an-hour winds and rain. Now I've caulked around here with roofing cement on the base, and I used quite a bit of that bucket of roofing cement, and I also forced it up underneath this lip here with a putty knife. Just kind of forced it up everywhere underneath there. I put an ample amount on there. I thought it had a weak spot there, and I also see a weak spot right here where this top lid goes onto this piece. So I put door and window sealant along here all the way around on it too. So if you have a skylight that's putting into your house, I highly recommend that you insist the installer uses the roof cement around the base like I did, the black cement, and do a good job sealing all that off, and also cement here underneath this lip that sits over this one here. Make sure that's all sealed all the way around, and put some good window caulking around this here where this piece joins this piece. And I don't expect to have any more leaks anymore. Done about as thorough a job on these vent pipes and skylights as I can, and I believe I'm all set for many years without having to repair another ceiling. Like I say, I had a leak from Mom's. I had to come down and repair. It took about 5 hours, and took a little paint blending to make it hard to see. And then I had just this in the last year where it leaked around this skylight. Again, the second skylight here. They're nice. We don't have any windows in the bathroom, and a skylight is very nice, but you have to be aware that some of your installers aren't going to waste the time. I shouldn't say waste the time. They're not going to take the time to properly install it and seal it up correctly, so that you don't end up with spots like me. So that's some things on the roof that I had happen to me. I hope a word of prevention to you gets you smart about your roofing people that come. You can just basically see their character by what kind of job they do. If you don't see that hose clamp on your rubber boot, you know that they're just run and gun kind of guys, and you better insist that that stainless steel hose clamp is clamped around there, or you may be repairing your ceiling in the living room too. And the same with the skylight. There's no need to take all that time, hours, to repair ceiling leaks, when just a half hour of work can get it all sealed up correctly. You just need to insist the installers do the right thing. At the end of this next section, I'll go in and I'll show you the leak spots that's in the bathroom and where I had to repair the ceiling in the living room. This is the living room ceiling that experienced the leak. You can see some discoloration there. You have to know where it is and look for it to know it. But it was about a 4-foot stretch, about 6 inches out. Had to re-spackle a lot, and since the ceiling has the textured swirl look to it, you can pretty well pick out where that wet spot was that came down. But could have saved myself 5 hours of work here or so, probably more than that, if that hose clamp would have been on that boot, on that vent. You can see how much light comes through the skylight, so I believe they're good things, but you just need a good installer and one that doesn't think that they are made to resist 30 and 40 mile an hour winds and rains. I'm going to hone in on the wet spot here. We are going to use a paint that's designed for this thing, Kills, and we're going to do our whole ceiling and hope that it covers that wet spot without digging it out. It's been in 6-7 months we've allowed it to dry. Same with the attic upstairs. We pulled the insulation away and opened up the space. Possibly you'll see it when we go up in the attic there. But there's the wet spot from the skylight. I think I've got it sealed everywhere I think it can be sealed, so I look for many years of trouble-free skylight. A day or two ago, I ran into a person. His name was Jason at the Speedway getting coffee, and he had a shirt that said he was from a roofing company. So I asked him how he handled his vent pipes and his skylights, and quality company that he worked for, and he said that he puts hose clamps on every vent pipe. And he said he uses this product, I don't know if it was named Seal Block, but he said that he would use a seal block and he would spray it on the vent pipe before they put the boot on and slide it over, and he says it was a material that would expand and it would help seal the inside. But he also said once that was on, he did put hose clamps on to make sure that it didn't leak between the pipe and the rubber boot. So sounds like that company does a heck of a good job. So I'll always put a hose clamp on anyway. I'm not going to tear this apart since I've got the inner tube cut and extra protection on this boot. But that's how he handled his vent pipes. Now he said on skylights he always puts some mesh down along the edge. He put some cement down so that would hold it in place, and then he would take another coat of roof cement over the top of this mesh. And he says what happens is that your roof cement cracks after a few years, but he said with the mesh on there, it's kind of like putting steel grating in your concrete. It will hold it together and keep it from cracking so bad. He says you'll get twice the life out of it. So I went and bought myself some mesh. It comes in little rolls like this. It comes in 50-foot rolls, and seems like it's easy to handle, easy to manage. Just cut a piece, put your roof cement down first, and then kind of I rolled this over and doubled it up, and it looks like it's laying down nicely. Now I'm going to do the whole skylight like this, because instead of a 5-year patch, I think I would rather have a 10-year patch, and possibly a longer life than 10 years. Imagine when they put a new roof on, it's a little bit, I bet it just comes off pretty easy. But then if they go put a new roof on here again, I'm going to have them go through this same process. He said some of the people in his company he works for does it, others don't, but he says he does it because he knows it works much better. So I'm going to go do this skylight in this manner, and hopefully we've got a 10, 15, 20-year life, as long as the roof the life of the roof lasts. So it looks, I've got the first round of cement on it, I've got my mesh down and the cement's holding it. Now I'm going to put my second coat over the mesh and do that on all 4 sides of this, and I think my skylight should be good for years and years, and I should definitely not have any more leaks in my bathroom. I brought it up on the top lip about an inch or so and put cement up there too. And because there's a little ridge there, I'm not real sure if the company knows how to seal their outfits up. Got the second coat over the mesh now, and it looks pretty good. I may feather it out a little bit. Probably a thick glob is not good compared to a nice even coat, so I may feather it out just a little bit better. But there it is. Took me maybe 10 minutes to do, not much. But I do believe this will seal this skylight better than what I had with just plain old roof cement. I believe the mesh probably will hold the roof cement and keep it from cracking. A little bit longer anyway. I'm sure a pro could do much better than what I did, but I'm happy I've got that mesh on there. It didn't go too bad to put on, and if it keeps the roof cement from cracking, that's all I care. So I believe this is a better way of doing your skylight. If you have the pros come in, I'm sure they're used to doing it if you ask them to do it, and I'm sure they do a better job than what I did. So you put a skylight in, I highly recommend you get away from your leaks and you seal it up everywhere you can, including this little ridge right here. I put some window caulking in that. Who knows where it might leak. Here I'll show you what I did with the flashing where the 2 roofs come together. It's a metal flashing that goes down, and I coated it with a 3M Extend Rust Inhibitor product that dries and coats metal real good, and then I painted it, spray painted it black. It should not rust for quite a few years. At least it should be a longer life than if it was just exposed by itself. Remembered also that your roofing itself that comes in different weights. A little bit heavier shingle is a better thing. They also come now with some type of copper oxide or something in them that resists the mold streaks that you get on the old asphalt shingles. I'm a big fan of the metal roof shingles, twice as costly as what asphalt is, but I believe that they can withstand the winds twice as much, and the life of them is twice as much too. There's also the straight sheeting metal that looks nice on some houses, and I think it's probably more durable than what the asphalt shingle is too. So those three options of roofing are something to think about, and just know that they make shingles now that resist that molding streaks that you see on so many roofs. I've talked to different building supply companies, and they say there's basically three types of drip edge that you can put on your roof. And the first is the old kind of drip edge. I imagine most people use it yet, but they have some new products out, and they're called the freeze drip edge, something in that term, and it comes in two different gauges. There's a thin gauge and a thick gauge, and it protects the underlayment of your roof, the boards, better than the drip edge. And I talked to the building supply people, and they said that if they were to put a roof on, they would use the thicker gauge aluminum freeze drip edge type material.